Welcome to You Asked For It, where you ask the questions and we answer them to the best of our ability, whether it be our opinions or our facts that we know for sure to be true. Straight facts, homeboy. Yeah. So we recently, a message series ago, did a series called What Does the Bible Say About? And in getting questions from you guys, there were a lot of them that we didn't cover on the messages. So we're going to cover all those.
Everyone that came in that we did not talk about, we'll talk about.
We'll talk about here. Cool. Yeah. Not in this video, but in this series of videos. Yes.
Not this video.
We'll dedicate. This one, we're going to hit this one. Go ahead.
Okay. This one came in. What does the Bible say about, what exactly does unequally yoked mean? And then they put in parentheses, unbelievers, denominations, etc. Does it also apply to friendships? And what scripturally would help determine the depth of relationship, please?
I'm glad they're asking. That's great to know.
Yeah. There you go. So basically,
that's a good one.
What does unequally yoked mean, and how does that play out in a bunch of different areas of life?
So let me rephrase the question. If they're probably asking, the Bible says not to be unequally yoked. What does the temple of God and the temple of Satan have in common? What does righteousness and unrighteousness have in common? I get that. But yet on the other side, the Bible says to be all things to all people. And so I think to kind of weigh that out, we need to say to be committed in a venture or to be committed to somebody is different than being friends with somebody. Think of it as a marriage, a business partner, a business venture. What do these two things have in common? You just can't go there. But I think it's really important to say, we always think it's spiritually, but there are other things. I think it's this. Whenever your core values are opposite, you should not be in a partnership with somebody like that. Whether it's business, whether it's marriage, whatever it might be, in those kind of things. And it could be your political differences. Those are core values. You can't
believe people who get married who are opposite politically. No. Why in the world would you do that?
What does one have in common with the other? They are that thing. I think there's others. Your view of money could be, your view of raising children could be not just spirit. You might be both Christians, but your view of raising kids is just what does one have to do with the other? Don't do that. You're not pulling the same direction in core values that matter. But on the other side, to be all things to all people, and remember that, to be all things to all people. Do you remember what Paul said? Why?
To win some.
Yes, that by all possible ways I might win some. So we need to be friends, connected, and drawing with people that we are not equally yoked with for the sole purpose of bringing them to Christ. But so I would say, just simply, in my opinion, it would be, don't be in partnership with anybody that has nothing to do with your core values. Your opposite. It ain't going to work. But become all things to all people for the purpose of drawing them to Jesus Christ. I think this simply is.
I remember we did a message. I don't know if it was you or I. We did a message on this idea of yoked, and yoked is not like a word we typically use in our everyday language anymore, which I think is where the confusion comes from. But the idea of yoked, of two animals being tied together, two oxen plowing a field,
pulling the same direction.
What's the thing that
that's the yoke?
That's called the yoke. I thought there was another word for it too.
I think it's the yoke. That wooden yoke.
Yeah, that wooden thing that goes over them. Yeah. And so, to me, when you said partnership is a great, but I just think, who am I tying myself to? Who am I, if I'm going to handcuff myself to somebody, I want to make sure that we're not, like you said, walking opposite directions. So even in who are my close friends? Who are the people that I'm going to hang out with? If we want to go hang out with somebody, are we going to be pulling in opposite directions of what entertainment is, of what our values are, or those sorts of things, So to me, I just keep that idea in my head all the time. If I was going to put a handcuff or something around my neck and physically tie myself to somebody for money purposes, for relationship purposes, for Christianity purposes, all that, I better make sure they're going the way I want to go for the purpose of helping me get to my destination that I want to be at when I don't feel like it, and also to make sure they're not working against me, you know?
Exactly.
So
it's also a nice way to keep in check. You know, if you've got those people close to you and, all right, we're at the same way. And then one starts going, hey, wait a minute. We're going this way.
Yeah.
We're going this way. You know, that's also a good reason.
Apart, you're constantly, but you're just wearing yourself out. You're not going to get, one has nothing in common with the other. Don't pull together. Don't be in partnerships. Link together. I think it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
And you can apply it in all areas of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. But, all right. One more. If you look at it in rings, we've talked about this too, about your circles. You know, you've got your close circle, which is in the middle. And then you've got your rings. Oh, these people are people I frequently hang with or talk to or interface with. And then these are the people that are, they're out here. I'm gonna keep them about here, but I still interface with them a lot. The closer you get to the middle of your ring, the closer they are to your core values. The closer they are to where you're going, to what you're doing. That doesn't mean you don't believe and I do. We can't talk. We can't. I shouldn't even be in the same room with you. You know, that type of thinking doesn't build the kingdom at all. Because now, if it, as a believer, if I only talk to believers, it's not doing anything for the mission.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, running away from people who aren't like you is probably not a good idea.
Right.
As like a standard practice. That's just my initial response all the time. There might be some situations where that's what you need to do, but we've talked about the homeschooling thing, so I'm not going to bring that up. But that sort of idea of Christians running from culture is the exact opposite of what God calls us to do.
Oh, I don't like what you're talking about. I'm leaving.
Oh,
I'm going to take my ball and
putting
go
it
home.
under the guise, well, I don't want to be yoked to you, and so I'm just almost justifying reaching culture. No. That's not what that verse means. That's not what God is asking us to do. So,
right.
Cool. So, yeah. That was that question.
All right. Hope that answered the question. If not, put it in the comments below if you want clarification on something else, or if you have another question that you want answered. Go ahead and throw it down in the comments below. We'll see you next time.